Howdy, howdy. Welcome, folks. You are muted. Just so you know, you come in muted. You can mute and unmute yourselves as you jump forward. There's Rachel. Warren. It's coming a little funky, but I feel you, man. I feel you. It's funny. Why is that coming in like that? You usually come in crystal clear at that backdrop. Or you're trying to hide it.
No, I just got to realize I got a green hat on.
Oh, that's why, huh?
See,
That's
my whole head's gone. See, there, see?
That's funny. Well, I have a different backdrop, the original, that you can see the ocean
Yes.
right there. Not a bad green screen.
I missed that.
Are you at Jim's?
Well, Jim's down below.
Right.
I now have the upper deck.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I recognize the windows in the glare off the picture. That's why I'm like, that's Jim's.
Yep. Jim's on second floor. I'm on the third floor now.
Cool.
Not bad. Welcome.
You're still in Dallas, though, right?
No, I'm half in Dallas and half in San Diego through
That's
July,
what I meant.
until July, and then then we'll see if it's full time here or not. We'll see if it pays off.
Okay.
Warren, I'm just waiting for you to change that backdrop.
Yes, that's not fair to Dennis.
I'm sorry.
He was very nice to and humble with the loss on the call that we had on Monday. So we're
looking forward to the future.
Yes, absolutely. That is definitely one of the more unique hats that I've seen there. That's funny. Yeah, well, we'll see if the Super Bowl actually takes place, huh? With the lawsuits and everything. See if they actually let it go.
Interesting events.
Yeah. At least we don't have the controversy this year. No Deflategate. All right, welcome everybody. Rachel's on. We're going to get launched. Wanted to just give it a minute or so for people to show up, and I just want to frame things. And might have to do it, with later arrivals. But we have two different types of training on a weekly basis. And even in each of the individual trainings, there's some differences you're going to start to see as we build this out. Mondays and Wednesdays are focused on advisors. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are focused on consultants. And we really don't want to commingle the conversation of a consultant and an advisor. It's really created a challenge for newer people coming in and getting a whole load of information that they really don't need. And some of you have been around for a while, but it takes time to learn what a consultant needs to know. We don't want to, impede a new person's success by dumping information that really isn't relevant to them. So kind of keep that in mind and help us police this, because I'm looking at several people who have been around for a while. Police this as we go in the event that I'm not here or Rachel is not, that we keep the conversation to advisors only on these calls. On Mondays, it's going to be Bobby starting to really focus on team building. And I think that's going to be very beneficial. I'll participate in both calls if at all possible, if I'm not traveling on a flight or something like that. And I'm here to support more than to do the actual training. And that's where the dynamic Rachel comes in. I had the honor of spending 3 full days with her and the leadership team last week. And man, we got a lot done. And what it did is it also created a lot of work for us this week in following up on all the things that we committed to do last week. So, and even more honored to be working with Rachel. She has a fantastic background, and just take the gold nuggets that she delivers to you, apply those, and it's going to help your business and drive your teams here. I'm going to really start focusing on the team managers and above to make sure that not only they should be here for these new training sessions, but driving team members this training session to help everybody level up their game. So with that framework in mind, I will turn it over to Rachel, and I will be the mute meister behind you. You are unmuted, Rachel. Well, you were.
I muted myself. Sorry. Thank you guys so much. Yes, we're really excited that we're going to be able to get these trainings for advisors really nailed down to the two different parts that are super important for the lead generation aspect of the business. You know, being able to have those really compelling conversations with people to just get them super interested in talking to one of our experts or consultants, and then learning some of the basics that move you into, on my side, that'll help you as you become consultants, if that's something that you choose to do, or if you want to work towards the rising star and the T building. That's like Bobby's going to have Mondays nailed down. I know you guys are very used to working with Bobby on a lot of his training, so it's great to get him back into the fold. And so he's got Mondays. I'll take Wednesdays with Charles, and then mine is going to be more based around general knowledge and roof, net metering, lead generation, some techniques, objection handling, things like that when it comes to securing a lead, so that you can see if they qualify and so forth. You know, how many of you guys here were on last Monday's roof training that we did? I see Dennis and Chief. Great. So just so you know, Dennis and Chief, I am going to kind of re-go over that one more time because it's very important information. So especially for the folks that were not on that training, we're going to start off with doing some of the roof training again. And give me 1 second. I'm just starting a quick little video so it's ready. And then we're going to move into a little bit that I added here. I had a new slide added that talks about like what roof types are eligible in different areas. That's really for our consultants' benefit because they are working in so many different markets, but also looking at some lead generation techniques on, again, just having those initial conversations, just some different steps. And I've got some examples in there built in. Hi, Lawrence, I see that you're here. Are you shopping at the Home Depot?
It's like fries.
Right on, right on. Okay, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna share my screen, and if, Charles, if you can look out for some thumbs up that they can see it, because I'm not looking now, and I'm actually gonna turn off my video.
We got you.
Awesome. Okay. So we're going to jump back into some of the slides from last Monday's training. So this will be a refresher for Dennis and a few people that were on last week's training. But we are going to talk about net metering, a roof overview, and overall lead generation training. Just some brief stuff. I'm going to skip over this. So again, for those of you that don't know, it's really important to understand why and how we're able to offer solar to so many people across the country. It has to do with the utilities. Essentially, net metering being the program that allows people to generate energy on their roof, earn credits from the utility, and then actually lower their cost of energy by replacing the energy they would have pulled from the utility with much cleaner, cheaper energy overall. So net metering is essentially just the energy you produce minus the energy you consume, and then you're going to get your net energy. So it's kind of easy way to think about it is like a banking system. You're putting energy in at one amount, and then you're pulling it back out at a different amount. So give me 1 second. I'm going to play a video here, and I'm going to time it to my phone because for some reason you can never hear it on the Zoom. So here you go. This video I use is from PG&E, and it was made like years ago, but it's such a great video that explains the general concept of net metering, as well as gives you a nice visual. I actually play this video a lot for customers, no matter where they're at, just to give them that general knowledge of how solar works. So let me get this going. Hold on 1 second. Let me get this screen shared. Tell me. Charles, can everybody see my screen? Awesome. Okay, we're going to go ahead and play it. It might not be fully synced up, but it's going to be close.
Every day when the site raises tens of thousands of PG&E customers and any other utility information are proving the value of solar. They're saving money on their bills while helping the environment. If you're one of these forward-thinking homes or businesses, please accept our congratulations and thanks. Of course, how solar works for you may be different in some ways than how it works for your solar neighbors. It all has to do with how much electricity your system generates and how much you use on a daily, monthly, and annual basis. Sometimes customers produce more power than they use and send the surplus energy back into the grid. Other times, homes and businesses use more power than their solar panels can generate. So depending on how much energy your system generates and your consumption, you may end up with either a charge or a credit for the month at the normal rate. If you participate in the time of use plan, you can also export electricity to the grid when rates are higher and use electricity when prices are lower during certain periods, like at night. In this case, you may actually get a credit for the month even though you use more energy than you exported. The credits you accumulate in a given month can offset the charges you receive with your month's usage. This is called net energy metering, or NEM. To make sure you have the full picture, PG&E sends you and every solar household with a regular monthly PG&E bill that includes a minimum electric service charge, as well as a NEM statement that gives you a monthly and year-to-date snapshot of your charges and credits. Then, every 12 billing months, approximately on the anniversary of your solar system's interconnection to the PG&E grid, you get a true-up statement that reconciles all the charges and credits you received over the past year. If you have a balance remaining, it tells you what amount is due. If you have a credit remaining, it's reset to zero and nothing is owed. It also indicates if you're eligible for net surplus compensation if you generated more energy than you consumed in total over the year. But whatever kind of solar household or business you are, there's one more thing to know. Everyone with solar can save money on energy while they're making a difference for the environment.
So that is the best part of that video, is that here's one of the most expensive utilities in the country telling people that if you go solar, you will save money. That's huge. That's why I like this video, honestly. But it is also a very good explanation of how net metering works. And this is how it really works across most utilities, you know. So understanding that and knowing that for your customers when you're talking to people, it's kind of almost like a third-party edification when you can even use the utility. And again, one of the most expensive in the country, basically telling people that going solar will save them money. Does that make sense, everybody? Is everyone kind of on page with that? All right. So again, I just wanted to share that video, and the link for this video will be provided when I put all the links together for everybody. Do we have any questions, Charles, from the field before I keep moving on? Oh, wait, hold on a second.
Yeah, if you have
I turned my volume down. Give me 1 second.
Yep. If you do have a question, you can type it in, or you can raise your hand, or unmute yourself. So I don't see anybody typing anything there. Okay, well then we're going to move on. So the other part of this training, and again, this is a repeat for some people that were there on last Monday, but we covered some of the roof types that we work with. There are 3 common roof types that are great when you're looking at a prospect and seeing if they're a great candidate for solar. You know, never hesitate to just pull out your phone, open up Google Maps, and say, well, you know what, let me take a look at your roof from satellite. Let's just see if this even makes sense for you, because it doesn't always make sense for everybody. But one of the common roof types we have is a composition roof, you know. So you have a composition roof, also called standard asphalt shingle or asphalt shingles, or just comp. You have UV rays from the sun. They are what typically will age a comp roof and tear them up over time. They'll, you know, that's when you'll start seeing like asphalt coming through, and that's the UV actually kind of hurts that asphalt over time. The great thing about going solar is we tend to put the panels on the areas that get the most direct sunlight, which is the south and west side in North America. And that's amazing because it does act as a radiant barrier. So it'll help block some of those UV rays and really just extend the life of that roof a little bit. You know, where you're going to get the most direct sunlight is where we typically want to put panels. The other type of roof that's very common and easy to install on for us is a flat tile concrete roof or a Spanish or round tile roof. There's some examples of what that looks like.
The ones you want to be a little bit cognizant of, and this is really kind of in Southern California, maybe Arizona, some of the areas where it's a lot drier, are terracotta and clay roofs. They do tend to be more brittle, and the way you can usually tell from a satellite image is if it's a very discolored roof, should trigger you to ask somebody like, what kind of roof do you have on your house? They're extremely expensive, so they might end up only showing on houses that are in, larger houses, more expensive homes, Do we have any questions rolling through, Charles, as I'm going?
There's one question regarding where people get the training, and I know you distribute that. What's the process you use, Rachel?
So the process currently, and this will hopefully change in the future, but currently I am storing all of the trainings onto a Google Drive. If you have not received a link for that Google Drive to access all the trainings, then please email me at raichmcd@power.com. Just put in the subject line, need training access or something like that, and then I will invite you to be able to view all the training docs, okay?
As a backup to that, you should be able to get it from your team manager and above, because they have those or put on their Voxer messaging every week as well.
Awesome. Okay. So moving on, some other roof types that we'll run into in different markets is metal standing seam. This is versus like a metal corrugated. This gives you a nice image. Standing seam, typically a little bit more expensive than the corrugated, easier for us to install on in many cases. You'll see that be a roof type that we can work on in most cases. However, metal corrugated, depending on the EPC and the market that we're working in, may not qualify. And that's partly because here on the corrugated roofs, it's really hard to tell exactly where the rafters are. And if we're going to penetrate that metal, we really need to be penetrating right into what's called a purlin, which is the cross section, or the rafter, which is the vertical section, because, and it's just very hard for a lot of mounting systems to gauge where exactly that's going to be. However, on a standing seam, a lot of times they can clamp onto the seams and don't even have to penetrate at all, So again, something to bear in mind when you're talking to your prospects and looking at, even if they're a basic candidate for solar, just looking at whether or not their roof qualifies. Okay, guys, I'm going to keep rolling through roof type.
Question came through for you, and that is, are we installing on TC or clay tile roof? So just for clarification. That to you. Yeah,
so terracotta and clay tile, it is not something that we are currently installing on anywhere that I'm aware of. Let me double check. We do have a nice chart here, and no, we are not installing on any terracotta or clay tile. So definitely when you're asking somebody what kind of roof they have, just know most people are going to have a concrete tile roof. Terracotta and clay is super expensive roof. Usually it's imported a lot of times from Italy on the terracotta side, that people are not going to want to mount on it anyways. They might be, however, a great candidate for a ground mount if ground mount is offered in that area. So just be aware. This is why we ask, just to double check with people, what type of roof do you have? And then again, you'll have a chart here that tells you most roof types will be okay. Terracotta and clay are one of the few, and most people will not have a terracotta or clay roof. It's very much not something that you would normally run into. Same with a wood shake roof. There is only one EPC that will allow for a wood shake roof. It's one I'm not even very familiar with, actually, Charles. I think it was Allegiance. Do you know where they cover?
They cover most of Texas.
Okay, so Texas, you can, look at this and not worry about it. I'll change the slide to say does not qualify, except maybe in Texas,
I wouldn't even bother. It's one of those most dangerous roofs out there for fire purposes. So
there's that, and the fact that wood it breathes, it expands and contracts. So when we're penetrating something like that, you're looking at the potential for a lot of leaks, which is why I say these don't withstand a 20-year solar agreement. However, what some people could do, or what some people definitely look to do, is replace their wood shake roof. So I would say for lead generation purposes, don't be scared to take their name and their info and kind of gauge a little further what their intentions are with their roof. But just know that if it's a wood shake roof and it's definitely in an area that we don't do that, you know, you can say, unfortunately, your roof doesn't qualify. Do you have plans to change that? Are you looking at re-roofing? You know, what's the condition now? And just kind of get a little bit more information from them. You know, if they're hyper motivated to go solar and their roof is already in horrible condition, they could be a great candidate once their roof has been replaced. We will not do roof replacement, though, as a norm. That's a pole mount, or is that ground mount? Ground mount is on the ground. A pole mount, I think you're referring to like a carport solution. Is that what you're seeing, Charles, on the chat?
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm not sure if that's exactly the context of the question, but there was a question that came through, and I've done a few of these in kind of country areas where in lieu of a ground mount, they're mounting the panels up higher, somewhat like a run-in shed, which would not be a patio, but it would certainly be what I would consider a pole mount. And submit it and see if we can do it in that case.
Yeah, when in doubt, just submit it. We'll qualify it further, you know.
And again, that's something that, let's keep the context of this call in mind, not consultant call, advisor call.
Right. So we're looking at, it's great for advisors to know what we can do when you're qualifying somebody to see if they're a great lead candidate. But the real exercise here is a little bit of knowledge about how solar works in general, because you're going to open up conversations with people and you're going to want to be able to speak to, like, yeah, you know, the more direct sunlight we get on your roof, the better. Let's take a look at your roof from satellite, get their address, pull it up on GPS. And then I have some examples here on that, how to take somebody from looking at their roof on a satellite and turn them into an appointment. So before we get there, these are, again, some basic information about just how the sun works, why it's important that people have direct sunlight on their roof and not covered in shade or different things. But essentially, you know, the angle of the sun, that azimuth, I don't know how somebody else said it in a different way, but it's basically in the winter, the angle of that sun is a little lower in our region. So therefore we'll have less production. In the summer and spring, it gets higher and higher and we get more production, which is why net metering, you know, there's going to be different amounts of production throughout the year. But when they go on net metering, they get this amazing program where we use the utility as kind of the battery. We store the energy in the utility. They go and resell it to your neighbors, but you get to get your rate from your system at a much lower cost than if you bought it all from the utility, and you're earning credits. And then at night, when you need those credits, or in the winter when the sun's not producing as much energy for you, you're pulling from those credits before you ever even hit their rate schedule. Some other things that play a factor in how systems produce is roof mount, is the slope of the roof. So one thing to keep in mind from a lead generation aspect is we cannot install on roofs that are too steep, okay? Anything over a 45-degree pitch, which will be in some of our northern areas or mountainous areas where houses have like A-frames and whatnot, we can't install on that. So definitely taking a look at your leads and knowing like what works, what doesn't work. This is just some general knowledge for you guys to see, you know, again, that angle to the sun and where they're located is all going to play factors in how our systems will produce. Based off of this, you know, seeing that, you know, we have like a 40-degree, a 50-degree, a 15-degree, 30-degree pitch. These are just some slides for you to keep in mind, like how you can tell if something's too steep or not. I'm just going to roll through these, actually, just some different pitch styles. This is a very slight pitch roof, which is totally fine. Again, was heavy knowledge for our consultants, but this is too steep. This is the ones that you want to watch out for. Again, as you can see on our chart here that I had our design team come up with for us, you know, our max pitch in all of our markets is 45 degrees. So again, keeping that in mind when you're seeing if somebody is a good candidate or qualifies for solar, just ask them, you know, like, again, pull up their roof from satellite, look at a street view, you know, get an idea of, you know, what it looks like. You can usually tell from satellite if it's steep or not as well. But again, when in doubt, just push it through and we'll let you know, you know. So this slide will be in the slide deck and available to you guys later when I post them up to the Google Drive. Do we have any questions so far that I might be missing? Charles?
Don't see the text. Want to unscreen share for a moment just to see faces?
Sure.
There you go. No faces. Now you can show your faces. If you have a question, you can raise your hand, you can unmute yourself, or you can type it in.
Awesome. Charles is doing an awesome job. Thank you so much for watching that for me. I just want to make sure.
Puppet master here.
Yeah. So now this is one of the things when we're talking about lead generation, whether you're doing this in person, if you decide that you want to be at at some event, maybe for your church or your PTA, and you're just trying to generate some leads, I actually like to use the utility bill as an opener when I'm talking to people. Like, did you receive your utility bill in the mail this month? And I always have a copy, like when I'm doing like lead gen and I'm outside somewhere doing lead gen, I always have a copy of it and I show them, like, have a copy of that handy so you can reference it. Have you ever looked at this? Have you ever looked at your bill? Hand the bill to the customer, or if on Zoom, show it to them in a screen share. Get them to see that their bill, it's a tangible thing. They have to get it every day. But the point is you can use the utility bill, and because you're going to need to collect it right now to even create the lead, but you can use the utility bill as a way to create the value prop, to create the problem. I'm using PG&E here as an example, but as you can see here, and I'm pointing at the bill and I'm showing somebody, like, you back in 2014, you paid 13 cents per kilowatt for lowest cost of energy. Fast forward 2 years, and again, this is an older script that I used, but, again, fast forward a couple of years to today, and now you're paying 18 cents. In reality, in PG&E, it's 22 cents for tier 1. That's a 29% increase. See the way you're currently buying power is the more you use, the more you pay, and your power gets as high as 40 cents a kilowatt. Again, I'm using PG&E. I know this is not the case in a lot of your markets, but I'm bringing up the point is that I'm creating a problem using the utility as a way to create that problem. Just know our consultants are going to continue on that conversation when they're doing their presentation for customers. They're going to continue to hammer at the utility and keep that problem top of mind, So this is actually in line with how the consultants will continue on, with that same conversation of creating the problem for the customer. So let me ask you this. Do you have things that are always running, like a refrigerator, an AC, even a warm alarm clock? Because when they go to time of use, which most utilities will be, they're going to just using basic things that they didn't think about having to turn off all the time. They're just going to be paying more because they're paying more between a certain time of day when they're on a time of use structure, which is absolutely happening here in California and has already happened in most of our public utilities. And it will likely and is already happening across the state. Time of use billing is becoming the norm from utilities, and it's their way of essentially forcing people to be more efficient and using energy during non-peak times, but also getting more money for their basic items like having their fridge plugged in and everything else. And usually in hotter markets, that's when your AC is running is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So Power is one of the nation's largest clean energy provider. We install at no cost to you. All you do is purchase clean energy at a less expensive rate than you are currently paying. Again, you're using that UB to create that problem, and then you're offering the solution. And the solution is to get them to want to do an appointment. The thing is, not every home qualifies. My job is really easy. All I do is see if your roof qualifies and what's your address. If in person, pull this up on a GPS. Keep in mind the things that you just saw in the roof training. And then while pulling up their address, do you know what type of materials is on your roof? More information you can get, the better. It just helps us develop a better sales approach when we have that appointment with them. And do you currently receive any discounts with your utility? Again, this is tailored to a PG&E or a California area where there's a program called CARE. But if there are low-income discounts, it's nice to know ahead of time if they get any of those. And then the next step, the next step is we're going to send a power professional to your home, or we're going to get one in touch with you over the phone. Again, it just depends on where your power professional is. They'll qualify your home further, look at your utility bill, and see how many panels will fit on your roof, as well as customize a solution that's fit for you. We do all of this at no charge. Good news is I have one of my best consultants in the area available tonight at 2, 6, or 7, or if it's the next day. Again, I'm just giving you some ideas on how to just take them from create the problem with the utility through to just, hey, my job's super easy. I just have to see if you qualify, and I'll get you with a rep that's going to do it further. Does that make sense, guys? I see some chat stuff, but I'm not sure if it's to this.
You're good. Joe's raising his hand. So Rachel, if you would unshare for a moment, I'm going to go in and disable the screen annotations. You see that little annotation there? I'm going to take it for a minute while you take Joe's question.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, I was just thinking, instead of creating a problem, we're just highlighting the problem.
Right, exactly.
The problem's already there.
But a lot of people don't realize they have a problem because they don't even know how they're being billed at all. They don't even know how it's a bill that they have to pay, so they don't even pay attention to it. So sometimes if you can point out, like, hey, your utility keeps going up, and, I want to offer you a solution, and the solution for you guys is to get them in front of one of our professionals who will see if they are a fit for this,
Okay.
Yeah, but absolutely. The problem's there, but a lot of people don't even realize they have it because they don't look at that utility bill. They just they pay it because that's the only choice they've had,
Yes, that's just what I was thinking. The problem's there. I don't need to create a problem. They already have it. I'm just pointing it out to them.
Exactly. But you sometimes have to do that little bit extra to beat up the utility, by showing them, man, did you see how much they went up last year? Holy moly, did you see your latest bill? They just did a rate increase if that's just happened in your market. You pointing out things that they might not even realize. Yeah, you're just honing in on that problem. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
No problem.
Joseph asked if there's a way to get utility pricing history highlighting that. There's a whole bunch of different utilities throughout the U.S. You go to Texas, there's hundreds of them. So know your market. There's a whole
yes.
And
know your
also
market and Google it. Google it. There's a lot of stories on utilities in various markets,
But remember, you're not the consultant. You're the advisor, and your job is to pique their interest and put them in touch with a consultant who will do that due diligence. That's their job, not yours.
And good point, Charles. For you guys, honestly, you don't even need to know exactly what's happened historically. Just know you can confidently say your utility has gone up, and it's gone up significantly over time. Our job is to get you, your job's super easy. All I have to do is see if you qualify, make sure their roof has sunlight on it, that they own their house, and then, pique their interest so that you can get them into an appointment with somebody that can then further see if this is a good solution for them.
Just look at the historical data, folks, rather than focusing on one utility. The historical data is that the rates are going to go up 4 to 6% every single year. Some years are going to go up higher, some years are going to go up lower, which means they double every 10 to 12 years on average. That's all you need to know. That's not going to change. The history is 60 years of that kind of data.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had a question. I had someone I was talking to in California. They're telling me that it's not worth it for them because their light bill is like $30 a month.
If they have a bill that's really low, and if that seems really low, honestly, he's in California.
Yeah.
Do you know which part? Is it on the coast? Is it San Diego?
It's close to LA.
Yeah, that very well could be his average bill. He could also, that's my usual question when I hear anything under $100 and it's in California. I would always ask, do you get any discounts with the utility? And they'll know if they're getting care or medical baseline, and honestly, I would probably stay away from them. Don't worry about it unless you think they might be a great candidate. And Bobby's going to cover that more for flipping them into a referral source or as a possible part of your team, But somebody that definitely does have something less than $75, $60 a month, especially in California and definitely probably in other markets, we might not be able to do a large enough system to offset. It just might. I hate to say it's not worth it because I think it's always worth it, but we do have system size requirements. And
Rachel froze.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we'll wait for her yeah, to that point, Chief, in California, they must be living with one light bulb if they're only paying $30.
Well, I had like 2 people told me that. So, you know, it's like,
you know what? Here, call them out on it. It's really simple and saying, do me a favor, send me a copy of your bill and let me look and see if you're eligible. Rather than taking their information, just send me a copy of your bill. I'll take a look at it and see if you're eligible.
okay.
Probably going to find that that's really not the case.
All right.
And while we're waiting for Rachel, another question came in. Do customers still get a Power Platform set up with an install? They get a Power Platform set up with a contract. They don't have to wait for install.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
I didn't know if you can hear me or not.
Sure can.
I'm sorry. So once the contract is signed, the customer can get a platform set up, and then they can start referring customers, if you will, to the Power Platform and start making basically money off solar energy.
Yeah, my coaching on that is, look, my goal would be for you to never, ever have to pay your energy bill again.
Yeah.
And it's really simple. All you have to do is refer a few people to us on a monthly basis, maybe even only one a month. You'll never have to worry about paying that bill again.
Yeah, ever. That's exactly one of the things I wanted to start my approach. And that may be a good approach for that gentleman here in Los Angeles as well, that has someone that has a low power bill, which I experienced folks that had that type of negative feedback, if you will, that I don't pay that much on power. I don't really have a concern about the environment, like we can go somewhere else. But that is a good selling tool, I think, based on what you said, that they get a platform set up as well.
I'm going to come back to that. I know Warren raised his hand while you were in the middle of what you said. Go ahead, Warren, then I'll come in the back and say something else to Ed and to Chief. Go ahead.
It was on the same thing, Ed. A great question. Thank you. I ran into that. I just had somebody sign a contract, but I'm waiting for them to install. Is it the same Google Doc link?
Yep, empowerment.com, E-M-Power, P-O-W-U-R, ment.com, empowerment.com. Once they sign a contract, they go to that section, put their information in, and they are now, within probably 24 to 40 hours, they'll get notification that they're in the system as an advocate. Okay. All right. So Ed, I hope that cleared up things for you. And Chief, the best thing to do is either get them to send the bill to see if that's really the case, or move on, right? Some will, some won't. So what? Move on. I think Rachel made it back in. There you are.
Sorry, I saw that it froze and it looks like I was picking my nose when it froze. So it wasn't. I was scratching my nose.
We have that on tape, Rachel. We have it on tape.
Anywho, guys, you know, I just wanted to hone in on, you know, how you can use the utility bill to open up conversation with people, especially if you're having like a dinner party or something and you're talking to your neighbors and friends, and just have your utility bill handy and be like, man, have you seen what they just did? Like, you know, build that pain and then get them in with somebody. You know, make it simple, make it easy. We have the solution. We just need to sit down and talk to them to see how great our solution can be for them. Cool. I'm pulling up real quick just the last slide of the presentation for you guys. Give me 1 second. I might have lost it. Yeah, I lost it. Damn it.
Could you repeat that email address for me again?
My email address?
Yes.
RAICHMCD@power.com.
Okay.
I'll paste it in.
Let me see if this saved my changes. Crap. Okay, so I'm not going to bring up that slide because when my computer died, I hadn't saved it. But basically, it's just reiterating Mondays, Bobby's running training. He's going to focus on Rising Star and different things for building teams and whatnot. And then on Wednesdays, Charles and I will be running other topics, you know, really geared towards lead generation, UB collection, things like that. If you have any topic requests or objections that you're running into and you don't know how to overcome them, please email them to me, and we'll incorporate that into the presentation if we get it a couple days in advance, okay? And absolutely, let's go ahead and open it up for some more. You know, what have you guys been running into? Like, what are you guys doing out in the field to generate leads? I'm going to pick on a couple people to see who's listening. I'm going to pick on Samsung. No, I'm just kidding. That's just, I don't know who that is. Anna Johnson, where are you from? Where are you hailing from? And how long have you been an advisor?
Good shot.
Hi. Because I'm on the line. Okay, I'm from California, Northern California.
Northern California?
Yes.
Which part?
San Francisco. Yes.
Oh, nice. That's a great market. I'm up in Chico, so we're close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So, Anna, how long have you been with Power?
Year and a half.
Awesome. And what's your, who's in your team? Charles, like you could probably tell me, is it Alan or?
One of the largest
Alan
teams in the country.
Yeah.
400 or 500 passionate entrepreneurs and a big part of the Chinese speaking community as well.
Awesome. So you have a unique situation. So what do you do mostly when you're out there talking to your network to bring in leads for your experts and consultants?
Yes, in the Northern California, there's a very people are not concerned of their bill. So today I'm just thinking about this. The things that can be do things is very unique, translated to the Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my team members didn't understand English, so that's why I need to do some translation. But today, for the Charles say things, your say things is very helpful for my team.
Great, good,
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, Anna. I'm gonna move over because it's on my screen like this. Paige.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
So
you,
by
Anna.
the way, I like
Oh, yeah.
to have the recording. I have the recording, the materials. So I wanted to send to us.
Yes.
The group team. Yes, thank you.
Please email me that you need that, and I'll make sure
Yes.
to add you to the Google Drive.
Yes, I already write down your email address. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we're going to move over to Paige since you're right next to Anna on here. How are you doing, Paige?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What market are you in?
I'm in Missouri.
Missouri.
So, yeah.
Is that 2.0?
It is.
I don't even know how to spell Missouri. Working on it. Okay. So what do you do then in your market? How do you typically go around and are currently pulling leads and stuff?
Well, this is my first month kind of diving into it. I started with Power in September, October, and worked at a farmer's market and was just kind of feeling things out because I had been with some other local solar companies and wasn't exactly happy with it. And also it's so limited for Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
What I liked about Power is just like even through Facebook, just going on different, prepper website or preppers and homesteading Facebook groups and stuff like that, and just kind of getting linked up with them. And I mean, Facebook it's remarkable how many people you can touch base with through that. So this is the first week kind of diving in it with Power solely after a big move. So I've just been really hitting the different Facebook group pages and then finding, which ones you can actually kind of advertise on, and even just talking with the admins on it. Everybody knows somebody that's interested in solar right now. It's a pecking order of waiting on their utility bills.
Right. And that's a good point, because it's a numbers game, a lot of the times. Like the more you can bring in, the more chances we're going to have to put more solar on people's roofs. It really does come down to, kind of sometimes shotgunning it out there and just seeing what you can hit. With Facebook, I would definitely recommend, when you see an article that's like PG&E is a good example. When you see an article from the local news station beating up the utility or bringing something to light, go to the comments section and see what people are saying. And if somebody is saying something that really keys into, that they might be a great advocate for solar, don't be hesitant to say, you know what, reply to them and say, hey, I have a great solution for you. I'll PM you, and then just PM them.
Yeah.
But you kind of prep it, but you can find a lot of like-minded folks or just people that are mad at their utility by looking at the news station's articles, highlighting it, and then the comment section. Yeah. All right, thanks for sharing, Paige. I'm going to move on over here to Christoph McIntyre. How are you doing?
Oh, hey, how's everybody doing today?
Good, good.
I'm out here in Colorado, and we are kind of in a position of we're just kind of moving past our warm market now, and we're working on getting our presence online, like Paige talked about, with groups, and also we're trying to strategize how to start creating solar workshops in our area where we become a resource for people, and looking to find ways to promote that type of, meeting operation with maybe how what's her name has been doing that out in California.
Carol Cole Lewis.
Yeah, Carol Cole Lewis.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're really feeling passionate about making that a monthly, bi-weekly, or something type of resource that we can slowly build on and find a place that we can meet and hopefully bring in people that way. So
that's great. And I super appreciate you sharing that. I had a conversation on one of my one-on-ones with a consultant who was looking for some ideas on how he could just lead generation for himself. And this would actually apply to anybody. One of the things that worked really well in our market up here, because I'm from a slightly smaller town. I'm not a big metropolis. I'm Chico. It's maybe 100,000 people here. We're north of Sacramento. But what I used to do, and some of my reps on my team used to do, is we would, make friends with the local coffee shop, that got a decent amount of traffic, but wasn't too heavy in like the audio, like that wasn't too loud. Those little signs, the chalkboard signs that, you can just set up, really like small chalkboard signs. I would write, free solar seminar, cup of coffee on me, and literally would just buy a bunch of, $1, $2 cups of coffee, and somebody would sit down. They would start talking to us, and they're like, "What's this? Can I get my free cup of coffee?" I was like, "Yeah, let me talk to you a little bit about what we're doing," And then I just open up the conversation, talk to them. If they're somebody that could be a potential advocate, then they were a renter or something, they didn't qualify. Great, flip them into a refer. If they were, because they'll know somebody that owns a house. If they were somebody that owned their house, have a brief discussion with them, and then secure the lead as far as like get them to want to have an appointment. And that was a really easy way to just hit a few people in your local community without putting a ton of expense out. And it's just fun because it gets you out of your house, it gets you out there in the community, and it gives you a chance to have these little mini one-on-ones with people.
Right. Now I have a question on some of our other activities. We've kind of found that for some reason people are pretty attached to not releasing their electric bill for some reason. And what type of verbiage have you found that allows them to feel comfortable enough about giving that information out?
Yeah, so I just say, a big part of the process when we're looking at whether or not solar makes sense is we want to accurately just be able to design a system for you and make sure that you qualify that you're in a utility that we work with. So if you could provide your utility bill, it's, the only thing we can do with that is pay your bill, and we're unfortunately not going to do that. But it does help us gauge, what rate plan you're on. Everybody's house is different. Everybody's situation is different. We want to make sure we're customizing a solution for you. And that does start with getting the utility information.
Right. And then if somebody says, yeah, I'll get it to you, and then you don't hear from them, how often do you drip on them to try and encourage them to follow through?
Well, I think the first discovery kind of question is, do you use your cell phone a lot to the customer? Do you use your cell phone? Do you have a smartphone? Yeah. Okay, great. Let me go ahead and send you a quick text so you have my number, and then get their number so that you can save it to your phone and their name and who, what the source was. Let me go ahead and get your number, put it in. I'm going to shoot you a quick text so you have my contact info. All you have to do is just take a couple pictures and you can just text it back. I will follow back up with you in the next few days. But yeah, just grab one of your bills that's lying around and you can shoot me a picture of it. Just try to make it as clear as possible.
Right. Very good. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, a lot of people have smartphones these days.
It's easy to ask, and if they don't, then then it's going to be a little bit more digging on your part, like figuring out a way. Because if they don't have a smartphone, likelihood is they don't use email. If they don't use email, you're kind of SOL.
More phones to have smart people. We'll be in great shape.
Right?
Yes, indeed.
And sometimes that, smartphone conversation is a good segue into, solar is very similar to how smartphones is coming out. We're in this still early adoption, era where, people, we're not quite at the peak yet. And that's why this is an exciting time for them to be able to look into it.
Right.
Are you, Ed, I don't know what your question's about. Offer source panels that produce water?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know what that
sorry,
is.
my headset is having problems. I didn't want to give you a lot of static. I had posted an article. Most of my marketing I do, all of it right now, is through my Facebook page and through my marketing system. And I posted an article the other day that talked about these source panels that produce water out of air vapors, and they cost around $2,000. And they said in the article, it said $2,000 plus 500 to install, yada yada. But they seem like they're low cost solar panels that can offer water options for people in areas who can't get that type of service or source.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's definitely not something on our radar. As far as new products go, Charles might want you to send that article to him and he'll check it out. But the likelihood of anything not just like straight PV solar for this purpose, I wouldn't like pursue or focus that, like the likelihood of a new product, something like that. However, if you have somebody that's in a comment asking about it, they're obviously interested in sustainable energy or something like that. So then you can flip them into a conversation about solar for their home.
Right. Well, here's the deal. They actually produced like in 2016 or 15, so it's not new. And it was an article that was published through my marketing system for the Power website. So it's an article that we published, and someone saw interest in it as well. So I was wondering,
I think it was probably just one of those articles to, like, again, because it's in the same realm, it's just to generate conversation, generate interest and comments. Yeah.
Right.
But please send it to me. I have not seen it.
Sorry, I had to mute Ed. I'd bring a lot of static in. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Ed, you don't have to unmute yourself, but just go ahead and email that to me because I haven't seen it, and I'll be more than happy to take a look. But don't hold your breath on that product being available, but use it as an opportunity to talk to people about clean energy. SSN number, Anna, I'm going to put that down for a topic for the next session. And
Nope. That's a topic for consultants only, not for.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't need to worry about that.
Exactly.
Sorry, I thought that was a pre-lead
thing. Right, I know.
If your consultant is asking you to get the last four of the SSN, shoot it back to your consultant and say, no, you're good, you can do that. Because I'm definitely working with consultants to train them on getting their information like that during their discovery or at the end of their consultation. But as an advisor, you shouldn't have to do that.
I want to address that, Rachel, just since that it's coming out of this group. If that's coming from an expert consultant and that expert consultant is coaching you or mentoring you to become a consultant, let that expert consultant coach you on how to ask that question. Not because you're an advisor, but if you're moving towards that role, let the expert consultant coach you on that, or bring that up on the consultant training session to get those answers.
Right.
Context, we will continue to remind people the purpose of these as we begin to scale back up our growth is for advisors.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap up here. If there's no other questions, just know, again, I will put all of these trainings into a Google Drive. I need your email address to invite you guys specifically to that. I can share a link out to Charles, and then he can share it to people, but we are not putting this on the open Facebook platform. This is a proprietary stuff that's just for you guys, okay? So again, I don't mind you guys blowing up my email, requesting training. I can go through those. Don't worry, I'll have them go straight to a folder on my side. Don't worry about blowing up my email. But once I get your request, I can then share the link to you guys directly, okay? Any other questions or any plans for this week to go crush it that anybody wants to share? Don't make me pick on you. I'll find somebody. I'm going to pick on somebody. I'm going to pick on, I don't even know who's on here anymore. I'm going to pick on Bob Kingston. What are you doing this week to go crush it? And at Ed about saying a government subsidized program zeroed down, be careful with that. you really need to be careful with making claims that are not necessarily true. I've seen a lot of ads that say, you know, your county went solar, you can too. That's misleading in a lot of cases, you know, so please try to use whatever the approved materials are when it comes to positioning this, but definitely saying government subsidized program zero down is something you want to be careful of, please. Cool. Doing some door to door, just getting the flyers. Yeah, if you notice anything on old materials, which I haven't fully vetted myself yet, you know, just bring it to my attention, and me and Charles will work through anything that is useful or not useful from previous materials.
Yeah, the flyers that are in the library now are compliant, so you can use those. And then on Power Pioneers, if you search for Prospecting 101, you will find a video that I shot in the field of doing some good door-to-door training. And I was hoping to do some more today, but I'm getting called to a different meeting. We'll see. I'm looking to go out in the field with Carol and possibly Melissa today, Melissa Dawson.
Awesome, guys. Okay, well, again, by the end of the week, materials will be posted in the Google Drive. And in the meantime, all of those that email me directly at rachmcd@gmail.com, RAICHMCD@gmail.com. I will personally invite each person to the Google Drive where they can access all the trainings. All right, thank you guys. You have a great day. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.